Hey, guess what? It's week one. It's the Blitz. We're back, baby. It is time. Man, I am so excited about today's slate and all kinds of things we're going to get into here in about 30 seconds. Good morning, everybody. We are back. It is week one. Man, we missed you guys. Goodness sakes, a whole awful lot. It feels like it's been forever.
I don't think we're live on YouTube.
Huh, that's strange. Well, is anybody, it's weird because people are watching us on YouTube right now.
So, we're on, Joseph. We're on.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. What is the Blitz week one?
Now we are.
Without a bunch of technical difficulties going on with it, right? Because that's how we roll. That's how we've always rolled. And that should let you know that you should be confident, ready for a good, solid start to the season, guys. We're here. This is a week one start set advice show. Make sure you get your questions in the comments. If you have any, I mean, it's week one. Most people are pretty set in their ways, but man, we just dodged kind of a bullet with a non-injury to Tyreek Hill. If everybody was paying attention to the news, Tyreek Hill got detained on his way to the stadium for a driving violation. Looks like everything's all cleared up. Looks like he's back at the stadium ready to play today. But I'm telling you what, I'm going to be changing him out in some DFS lineups today because I have a feeling he might be playing a little angry. I know when anytime I get pulled over, I'm pretty ticked off. So let's see if that translates. I'm definitely, like I said, I'm going to slot him into a couple DFS lineups now for sure. But we're going to go ahead and turn this over to Joe. Joe, I guess, man, where are my manners? On my left, my man, Joe. Joe, what's going on? How are we doing today?
Hey, man, it's week one. We are here. I think this is our third season of the Blitz together, if not fourth. And I love it. I can't wait. And, it is week one, but already some interesting scenarios to talk through.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's getting crazy just already in week one with the Jordan Love injury. And I mean, there's all kinds of things that are happening there that we're going to have to start paying attention to. And down below, my man, Jeff, how we doing, Jeff?
I'm excellent, my man. My favorite morning of the week one. Can't wait to get into everything. And you know that the NFL season is back when the Charlie Tweeter jersey comes out, baby.
That's it. Love it, man. Love it. And I always love the energy that we bring here and everything. And just again, welcome back, everybody. We're glad to have you here. And let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off with Joe. Joe, go ahead and kick us off on some injury reports, my man. And like I said, we dodged a bullet. We don't have to report on Tyreek Hill right now.
Well, we don't, but ESPN is showing the video of his arrest. They had him face down on the ground on the highway in cuffs.
Start Tyreek Hill in every single possible form. I mean, you're already starting him in every single format, but now go put some money on the overs. Like, dude, this guy is going to beat some world up today, I have a feeling.
It's crazy. So already an awesome start to the season, especially after those first two games, the other Thursday and Friday night too. So real quick injuries, and there are some to report to each position. Quarterbacks, last couple of days, Russell Wilson out in Pittsburgh, Justin Fields in Pittsburgh. Certainly some fantasy relevance there if you have the courage to start Justin Fields, thinking that he's going to use his legs to run today. So that's an interesting one. Jordan Love, we know, got hurt for Green Bay. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. That's about it from a quarterback front as far as today goes. Running backs, we know that there's no Nick Chubb, so we know Jerome Ford's the starter there in Cleveland for at least the first 4 weeks. Running back, other than that, is pretty clean. Wide receivers, and this is where we get a little sticky. Tyreek Hill, obviously, talked about it already. He is going to play, according to Drew Rosenhaus, who's being interviewed live right now on ESPN. The other interesting news that just came through, Jamar Chase will not agree to a contract extension prior to the kickoff today. So it's literally up to him on if he's going to play or not. And as of 11:16 Eastern time, as it stands, I don't think anybody knows the answer to that. So that's one to watch. T. Higgins is already doubtful. So we know that the Bengals are playing the Patriots, but they might be down those top 2 receivers going into this week 1 kickoff. Keenan Allen is questionable for the Bears. Looks like he is going to play. Going to be interesting to see how he fits into that offense. DeAndre Hopkins is also expected to play, which is interesting because going into drafts, people thought he was going to be in on the PUP list and out the first 4 weeks. So that'll be interesting to see in Tennessee. And the only other one I think worth mentioning is Tyler Lockett is also questionable for Seattle, looking like he's going to play. I would love Lockett not to play because I'd like to see what Smith and Jigba can really do there with some legit targets. But some injury action heading into week 1, boys. But let's get kicked off here.
Mike, you're on mute, my friend.
Okay, is it week 1 or not? No, if I was Jamar Chase, I feel like I would play, but I'd just go play like garbage, like just go like half-assed every route and everything like that, and be like, "You want to pay me? I'll play." Until then, good luck. You know.
That's crazy. That's interesting, man. They can't. They get Burrow not healthy. They've got all these guys playing around them. Now they got Burrow healthy. They don't have Mixon anymore, and now they're down Chase and Higgins to start the season potentially.
Yeah, no, and I think that's going to be. I don't know how I feel about Burrow today. I feel like they're going to have to do a lot more on the run game. The tight end opportunity, I think, takes a pretty big uptick there. If you're wanting to stab at a tight end, who is there? Is it Hayden Hurst, right? Hayden Hurst is their lead tight end now.
And they have Sample, I think, still too, is like a backup.
Yeah, but I think Hayden Hurst is their lead guy. But yeah, no, it's so with that, I don't know. I think it's going to be kind of bad without those guys, especially.
Oh no, hey, we're wrong, Mikey. They got Gesicki from the Dolphins now. He's their starter, and Sample's the backup.
Oh heck, I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, no, it looks like that. Okay, so Mike Gesicki, so he might actually be worth a play. He might be worth a stab at today. But guys, let's go ahead and get this thing rocking and rolling because just like we could set the clock to, we got our man. We got the Ukrainian from Ukraine. We've got our man Trans-Siberian. He says, finally, you're back. He says, and it's so good to see you again, man. We love you. So happy you're back. We got finally you're back. My team, Lamar Etienne. You can't put a comment like that when I'm reading Trans-Siberian because I'm going to laugh. And that's because that's awesome. No Gabe Davis jersey, Jeff. That's the next comment coming up. Finally, you're back. He says, Mike, yeah, we'll just pull that one up right now because that's awesome. Come on, where's your Gabe Davis? Like representing. He says, finally, you're back. My team, Lamar Etienne, AJ Brown, Nico Collins, Rice Ferguson, Aubrey in Seattle defense. He says, question, Moss or Brian Robinson for the second running back slot half PPR? Man, that's one guy that I feel like everybody slept on in this draft is Brian Robinson Jr. I understand Austin Eckler's there too. I feel like this is going to be one of those tandems, especially with, I always say this year in, year out. There's 2 things that I love when we're talking about a rookie quarterback. I love their tight end and I love their running backs because they usually get the bulk load of the work because you don't really want to get somebody in there that's kind of, like maybe has the yips or anything like that. It could be something as far as it's hard to say, with you're just going to have lower passing volume, I guess. You're not going to be going out there and slinging the rock. Maybe, he could come out there like CJ Stroud, but he could also come out there like Bryce Young. It just kind of depends on what the situation is and how it feels. But get me the running backs because I almost feel like this is going to be a team where you're going to feel confident starting Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler if you have them both. So what do you guys think on that?
Joe, I'll let you roll.
Yeah, so real quick, first of all, Trans-Siberian, you got to mark down James Cook for us. And James Cook is the first altercation of the season we had last night. I believe he's going to have a big year in Buffalo this year, lots of touchdowns. The boys disagree. So keep us honest on that one throughout the year. This is a tough one. I kind of like both these guys. I like what Mikey's saying. The more you read on this Brian Robinson and Eckler situation, it feels like they're going to start the season with Robinson as the primary and Eckler kind of playing that like what was that guy they had a couple years ago? McKissick, right? Who would have like 7-8 catches a game out of the running back slot. I think that's how it's going to start. I think they're very high on Robinson. I think he proved last year that he can be a legit starting back in this league, and I do like him. But I think I like him a little more than Moss in general this year. But for this week, it's interesting because if you're talking about the Bengals, they've got the matchup home against the Patriots, which is good for the run game. And now they have this situation with no Higgins and potentially no Chase, which means they would lean on those running backs even more. And we know that Moss can be a touchdown machine. So I feel like you got a win-win here. It's tough. I like Brian Robinson more. It just feels like this week it might be more of a Moss week. I think I'm going to go Brian Robinson, though, because that should be the higher scoring game overall. So I will err on the side of Mikey there.
And Jeff, what do you got to say here, bud?
I'm gonna disagree. I'm going, especially given what we just said about Chase and Higgins. I'm gonna go Moss just because, number one, they're playing the Patriots, who have Jacoby Brissett starting at QB, which means their offense will be out there a total of about 7 minutes and give the Cincinnati offense plenty of time to be on the field. And don't get me wrong, I really like Brian Robinson, but you do have Jaden Daniels, who we have seen his numbers out of college, who likes to run. And I expect a decent game out of him, especially from a DFS standpoint this week. And you combine that with Eckler, who a couple of years ago was the consensus number one fantasy pick. So you have Eckler, you have McLaurin, you have a rookie QB who will probably bail on a play quickly and get out of the pocket as opposed to throwing or handing off to Brian Robinson. So you have those options. So, because of all those, I'm going Moss, but.
Yeah, I don't mind. Like I said, I think we are dealing with almost a win-win here because I could see the volume for Moss being a huge uptick and then not having to worry about the spread going between Robinson and Eckler in week one and maybe feeling that one out. But I have a feeling that they're both going to be very productive. I think they're going to be very featured in this offense because, again, it's a rookie quarterback. But, man, no Jamar Chase, no T. Higgins. And, again, there might be a Jamar Chase, but I just have a tough time thinking he's going to play at full capacity. He hasn't practiced once this whole offseason. I guess he did show up to practice on Wednesday, something like that. But, still, it's Jamar Chase, too. He doesn't really have to practice very much.
Hey, one more, too. Speaking of why, they announced yesterday, too, that Brandon Ayuk's not going to get a full workload this week. So that's another guy from a league perspective that you're going to have to watch out for this week.
Yep, you're going to have to dodge that bullet as well because that's it. They said it's going to be a limited workload. That guy's pretty good on a limited workload anyways, but I think I'm going to be fading him at least on DFS today. You're starting him if you drafted him. That's good.
And real quick, Mike, before we jump into the next one, I'll tell you, if Trans-Siberian wants to bring up Gabe Davis, then I'm just going Mountain Dew every Sunday for the rest of the season, man, because I know you can't have it over there. So Mountain Dew if you want to bring up Gabe Davis again, my man.
Mountain Dew in one fist, Dr. Pepper right in the other, and just like double shooting that stuff. I get it, man. That is how you put it to the man like that. We got one buddy said he struggles because he wants to get Keon Coleman.
Hey, Dak Prescott has just agreed to a 4-year, $240 million contract with the Cowboys.
Oh, wow. Poor Cowboys.
I'll tell you what, man. I feel like a boxer right before round one's about to start. We got injuries. We got arrests. We got contracts. Right? We got holdouts. We're still an hour and a half away.
It was a pretty mellow offseason. There wasn't a whole lot of things happening. So I guess let's get it over with all in one shot. I'm okay with that. Like an adrenaline junkie. I love it.
Prescott is now the highest paid player in the history of the NFL.
I can't believe that he is the highest paid quarterback in the league. Although I do have to say last year, he did impress the heck out of me. He did seem to pull it out and start playing a little bit better football. The guy doesn't play very well in the playoffs, but we're not here to care about the playoffs. We're not here to care about the Cowboys. We're here to care about fantasy points. And as long as he's going to be hucking the ball to CeeDee Lamb like that, he should be a solid, viable option for a good long time. That dynasty owners are probably pretty stoked about that because they also locked up CeeDee Lamb. They're going to have a lot of good years coming in the future right there. Now they just got to find themselves a running game. So That's awesome, man. We love it. Let's keep the news coming. We got one buddy says he struggles because he wants to get Keon Coleman in his lineup this week, but would have to sit somebody pretty legit like Debo or Metcalf. Would you start Coleman over either one of these two? Jeff, I'm going to let you lead this one off.
I really can't pull the trigger on that one, man. Don't get me wrong. Keon Coleman, it seems like a decent option there, but Joe's so high on James Cook, which I'm not that big of a fan of or expect him to get in the end zone as much. And you got Josh Allen, who had 15 rushing touchdowns last year. And I get it, Coleman's a receiver, so he's not necessarily getting handoffs, but I can't see him getting the amount of targets that, number one, either Debo or Metcalf would have. So a lot of it maybe hinges on Lockett playing or not. If he doesn't, then I like Metcalf even more. But I would say for me, I wouldn't go Coleman over either one of these two. And if I'm picking between Debo or Metcalf, I'm going Metcalf.
Yeah, I think Mike said it right before. If you like Coleman that much this week, you get him into a DFS lineup and leave the big guns you got there in the regular lineup.
Yeah, you're going to hate yourself if you start Debo. I mean, Keon Coleman, we haven't even seen him be a featured guy in this line. So it could be the Dalton Kincaid show. It could be a whole different dynamic because when they made the shift at offensive coordinator last year, they started running the ball a lot more. It was a lot more ground and pound offense.
That's
and
true.
I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that a little bit. But, dude, I am excited about the Bills. I'm telling you what, man, those guys, I think they're going to be gritty. You saw that thing I sent you last night, and I fully believe that that's how that relationship with Diggs was. I've been saying it all off season that I think that was a huge improvement for that team. And I feel bad for the Texans drafting him because, man, they felt like they were in the right direction. We got another question here, actually. We got Boss Man. He says, good morning, guys. Hope all is well. And pick one. Wide receiver starter. Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, Calvin Ridley. Joe, what do you know?
Yeah, I like this one. This is a good one. So right off the bat, I'm eliminating Godwin. And I'm actually going to eliminate Ridley, too. So I'm looking at Kirk or McLaurin. Two of the higher projected scoring games of the week is that Jacksonville-Miami game and the Tampa-Washington game. Kirk is the number one in Jacksonville from a wide receiver perspective. They have Ingram. They're going to have to score some points today. So at the least, I like him for some fourth quarter trash. McLaurin is really intriguing to me throughout the season with, where you got him in drafts and stuff as far as how he's going to click with Jaden Daniels. Week one, I'll play this one a little safe this week, and I'm going to say Christian Kirk here. You know that Jacksonville is going to have to throw. They're going to have to score points, and Kirk is cemented in there as the number one wide receiver target and, 1A, 1B overall along their side with Evan Ingram. So I like Kirk and his volume today. But throughout the year, that's going to be a tough decision, I think, each week.
That's a good one to have, too, I feel like. But, I mean, I'm more in the camp of Chris Godwin. I feel like Baker Mayfield is going to be spreading out some serious targets there between Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Rachaad White, I think that the Tampa Bay Bucks could be the real deal. I think that's going to be a high-scoring affair that they have. So I'm going to actually lean Chris Godwin here just because, man, I can't sit him. But, man, I like every single one of these options. I got Christian Kirk in a lot of lineups. I got Calvin Ridley in a few. I'm lower on Calvin Ridley just because I just don't know what I'm expecting out of Tennessee this year. But it's not much, right? Will Levis and Treylon Burks, there's a lot of things there that I'm just not very excited about. But Chris Godwin, I think he's going to be steady Eddie. I think he's going to keep you where you want to go. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I'll pretty much agree there. I'll go from the bottom up. Ridley, just because he's got Will Levis thrown to him. If it was anybody else, I might think otherwise. But I really like Godwin actually a lot in a DFS standpoint today because he's so cheap in most of these lineups or salary wise. You're looking at 5,600 on FanDuel, so he's a great DFS option if you need to sneak in a lower salary to kind of get like a Tyreek Hill or somebody else DFS wise. So from there, I would say, you got McLaurin and Kirk because of what we just discussed about Jaden Daniels. I would say Kirk gets more targets than a Terry McLaurin only because, and I'm forgetting Trevor Lawrence. Now this is the second or third season or more that he's been there clicking with Kirk. So I think Kirk is the number one with Trevor Lawrence. Them being more comfortable with each other as opposed to Jaden Daniels with still a number one in Terry McLaurin. But tilting the scales a little bit, I go Kirk.
Yeah, see, and I mean, I've always been a guy that fades the wide receiver position on rookies, right? Like, because they generally don't. He's going to have games, right? He's going to have those games where he gets those 5 catches, 67 yards, and 2 touchdowns, but there's going to also be a lot of games where that's not going to fit into their game plan and they're going to have to adapt doing something else. And that's going to be moving the ball a lot slower, killing more clock and things like that. And you're going to be doing that with the running back and the tight end. So I'm with you there, but yeah, because like I said, there's not anybody I don't like on that lineup right there. He has a second question here. He says, on the other team, start one in the flex. We got Alvin Kamara, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Jerome Ford. Right back at you, Jeff. What do you got?
I really like those options. I'll tell you what, we all know that DJ Moore has been my guy, one of my guys over the last few years. I really like him, and now not for nothing. DJ Moore, out of any wide receiver last year, he had the highest percentage of receiving yards on a team. So DJ Moore accounted for 40% of the receiving yards for Chicago last year. However, this is not last year. This is this year. They have a hell of a lot more weapons. They have a new quarterback. I still like DJ Moore, but Mikey says it all the time. The tie goes to the running back, and because Nick Chubb is not there, I think Jerome Ford is the play. Not that I don't like Kamara or Godwin. I mentioned I like Godwin in DFS. Kamara, for whatever reason, New Orleans just doesn't excite me. Kamara seems like he's on a downslide a little bit, and I think Ford is going to be the play in this instance. What about you guys?
So, real quick, just to confirm, so we ended up going Christian Kirk on that last one, right? It was 2 of us for Kirk and 1 of us for Godwin. Was that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
I think
so we go Kirk there, boss man.
On Godwin.
This one's another tough one. For me, I'm again eliminating Godwin right off the bat. The other 3, though, you could make a case for all 3 of them. I am going to eliminate DJ Moore, Mikey, and his rookie in the wideouts and all the options there. And it's week 1 for Williams, although I think Moore is going to be fine this year. Ford and Kamara, I'm so high on Ford these first 4 weeks. And I agree with Jeff. Even with his assessment of Kamara, I agree to an extent. But they're home against Carolina. And I just feel like if Kamara is going to do anything fantasy wise this year, this is going to the week in the matchup for him to do it. So I would start Kamara here week 1. I'd have a short leash with Kamara this year, especially if these are the other people that you're benching him for. But home against Carolina, if you drafted him, you got to play him this week, I think.
It's funny because to me, this is a no-brainer smash Alvin Kamara in most situations, but I think I'm with you. I think I need to go with Jerome Ford here as well. Only because I share the same sentiment, Jeff. Like, I'm just not into this team. There's not anything really too exciting about it. Now, they could come out and surprise you. Derek Carr is usually a pretty fantasy productive quarterback. Alvin Kamara is usually a pretty fantasy relevant running back. I mean, but Carolina at home actually kind of scares me because Carolina's defense is pretty nasty. And I have a feeling this is going to be a different Carolina team we see coming out. They changed a lot of things over there. And a lot of the things they changed, I think, will be for the better. One of them being adding Deontay Johnson. I think adding a weapon like that to Bryce Young's arsenal is really going to help things out there. But they still have a lot of room to go. But I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair between both of those guys. And so give me Jerome Ford because, we got something coming in. I can feel it, Joe.
Yeah. So Jamar Chase is active. He has been deemed active, but they still have not confirmed if that means he's seeing snaps. That's why I'm turning, because there just seems to be breaking news every couple minutes. Then the only other thing real quick, because we've talked a lot about the Bengals and now this Saints game. The Bengals and the Saints are like 2 out of the 4 highest rated teams this week to win and highest spreads. And I'm just thinking from like a survivor perspective, see a lot of people going with both the Bengals and the Saints this week. And Mikey, I agree with you, even though I'm saying start Kamara or what, I would be concerned with using either of those teams as a survivor pick this week for all the reasons we've already talked about with both those teams. Was just the other thing.
And for those of you who don't know, Joe keeps Tom Brokaw in a cage over there. Right to just directly to his left over there. And that's how he gets all these important updates right away.
I
As
do.
Tom broke
No. That's incorrect. He brought up Tommy DeVito from his parents' house in New Jersey, so he's hanging with Joe for the weekend. So that's
He's making me some cutlets
in the basement, man. I love it. Like you got it, boss man. Make sure you tune in every week. We're here every week, man. At 11 o'clock Eastern. We're never here at 11 o'clock Eastern, but we're gonna tell you 11 o'clock Eastern every single time.
That's true.
We're like 11:08, 11:10, 11:12. You never know with us, but we're there. I promise. We're going to be there. It might even be 20, 30 minutes late because we're disorganized as all hell. But we have a lot of fun doing it, guys. So actually, there's a lot of pre-talk and there's a lot of things that we're doing ahead of time.
It's unpredictable as a jam band.
We got Flex PPR, Dobbins, Swift, McLaurin, or Ford. Joe, what do you know? What do you think?
Yeah, this is... and I guess you would predict that Ford would be in a lot of these this week, and McLaurin. People are sleeping on Dobbins, and that's Roman in there as the offensive coordinator. That's the same guy that was splitting carries between Edwards and Dobbins in Baltimore, and now he's doing the same thing for the Chargers. So I actually think if Dobbins stays healthy, he's going to be good in general. I am not starting him today. I'm looking at DeAndre Swift or McLaurin here. Again, I like Ford, but I really like the allure of Swift and McLaurin. I think I'm going DeAndre Swift here. The one knock with Swift is he doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. A, he was better in Philadelphia last year than people expected. B, and I know what's his name, Roscoe Johnson, I think is the third back for the Bears, and he has some size to him. But Herbert is their backup. He's not a goal line back either. So I do think Swift has the opportunity to conquer some red zone carries in addition to being a lightning rod in the passing game. To your point, Mikey, rookie quarterback may need to rely on the checkdowns to the running back. So I'm going to take a shot with DeAndre Swift today. I've always had a problem laying off Swift because his home run ability is just always there.
And I actually am in the same camp right there. I feel like Swift is... And I feel like he has kind of a little bit to prove. I mean, don't you think like watching Saquon Barkley go out there for the Eagles and just smash things up and make him look like a useless has-been? Because if you look at any of the tape last year, he had good games, but he didn't have anything like a Saquon Barkley-like game. So I'm sure he's got it somewhere in the back of his head that he's got a little bit to prove today to show that it wasn't him, that it was actually his usage that was the problem there. And I totally think that that's the case. I think that they used him absolutely wrong. I think that team just, I don't know what happened. They fell apart about halfway through the season, stopped kind of relying on the weapons that made him good. And I think Swift is one of those guys that is so good, especially when you get him in there. But man, Dobbins is tough to pass on. Harbaugh's over there in Los Angeles. Oh man, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's close, but for me, it's Swift. What do you think, Jeff?
To me, it's not necessarily all that close with Dobbins. I mean, they got the Baltimore Light over there in LA now. So you got Dobbins and Gus Edwards over there. It's just bizarre how both those guys went over. But I'm just looking at this from an opportunity standpoint. We're gonna put McLaurin on the bottom simply because he's the wide receiver out of the group. And okay, he'll get max maybe 10 targets and 6-7 catches, something like that, whereas the running backs have much more opportunity. I'm taking Dobbins out of there because they also have Edwards in the backfield. I understand that Jim Harbaugh in the past has been more of a running kind of coach, and that's the direction he goes, but he does have Justin Herbert, who we know likes to sling the ball. So it comes down to Swift or Ford, and who gets more opportunity. I would say Ford by a slim margin, only because of all the rest of the weapons that are on Chicago and the options that Caleb Williams has, versus Ford being the guy there. You do have Amari Cooper, but I think Ford has more opportunity than Swift.
I don't mind that. Like I said, I was close on actually all three of those running backs. I know all of us can agree McLaurin is definitely not the play here. And it's tough on Dobbins, but I feel like Gus Edwards being there ruins Dobbins a little bit of value. I think I kind of agree with you. You kind of might have changed my mind a little bit there because Swift being on the Bears and having all the, but I really think that, I still got to go with Swift. Give me the running back with the rookie every gosh dang time because it always pays off, man. It's always an option that there's a reason it's a rule for me, We've got Seahawks or Dolphins defense today. Jeff, what do you think?
This might be the easiest question, or at least the easiest so far this morning. you got to go Seahawks at home versus Denver and Bo Nix. Okay, Bo Nix is talented. Well, Mikey, I'll let you defend your guys here in a minute, but good Lord. I mean, in Seattle, and you're going up against a rookie quarterback whose top receiver is Cortland Sutton, who had a decent year last year, but options-wise for offense in Denver isn't all that great. So at home for the Seahawks versus the Dolphins up against Jacksonville, who we all can agree it's going to be a high-scoring game, or at least on paper. I think that has the second highest over-under of the week. So I'd say Seahawks and an easy one on that.
Honestly, like I was giving you shit when you were sitting there saying that, like, oh, it's a slam dunk Seahawks. Bo Nix, I've said it all. Like everybody says, he looks great. He's looking good. I am not excited about this guy as my quarterback. I really wanted JJ McCarthy. I wish the Broncos would have traded up and grabbed him. Although now it's looking like it's a great investment in Bo Nix because he can actually get on a football field and play football. Whereas JJ McCarthy has to wait till next year to do that. But that being said, man, I can't get excited about it. Now, if he goes out there and lights it up, as the number one Broncos fan in the world, because again, you can't just buy these things, right? Denver actually sends you this in the mail and they say, since you're the number one fan. But I just can't get on the Bo Nix train, man. I just can't do it. So
wait a minute. Didn't you say that actually Jerry Jeudy dropped that off of your place on his way to Cleveland? Didn't we say that last night? Isn't that what happened?
He did because he was almost the number one fan, but not anymore now that he's a Brown. He can't be.
The other thing,
number 3 though.
The other thing about Seattle real quick too is they got the Patriots week 2. So like from a league perspective, like if you're looking at Seattle on your waiver wire right now, they're a shoo-in to start both this week and next week.
Oh yeah. Another bit of information, another update, guys. We've got Jalen Wright has been a healthy scratch today. So if you're sitting there counting on this being the day that Jalen Wright comes out, Devin A-Chain tick up, Raheem must start, check up, let's go. They're obviously very confident with that duo, and I don't know why you wouldn't be, honestly. Jalen Wright is he's just going to cook for a while. You see an injury happen, he'll be right there, though. We got Pittman, Kirk, and Ramondre, pick 2. I went Pittman and Stevenson, but Kirk is projected for more than Pittman. Not Downs is out for the Colts. Downs is out?
Yeah.
Okay. I actually did not know that one. So what do you guys think here? What do you think here, Joe?
Yeah, this is when I first read this one, I'm like, oh, you got to go Pittman. I don't understand. Pittman fell in drafts, and I know he's going to have a different quarterback this year, but he's going to technically have a better quarterback. Well, what they think is a better quarterback. So it's interesting to me where he's projected based on his volume in production last year. So I was going to say Pittman, no brainer. I wouldn't go Stevenson and I like Ramondre Stevenson, and I know he's the running back too, and he can get all the attempts in the world. They got no passing game. They've got no offensive line. The Bengals can put 9 in the box in that game and probably will to start. So I can't go Stevenson, even though I like him and he's a running back. But I think throughout this first 45 minutes today, I've sold myself, and you guys have sold me on Christian Kirk maybe a little bit today. It's the higher scoring game. They're going to have to throw, again, all the things we've said about Kirk in Jacksonville. So I think a really, really close. I wouldn't fault anybody for going Pittman here, but I think I actually may try Kirk here today.
To me, Ty goes.
Oh, and it's pick 2. I'm sorry, it's pick 2. So I would pick Pittman and Kirk and sit Ramondre. My bad on that.
Yeah, no, like I was going to say, the tie goes to the runner, and in this case, there is no tie. It is not even close. Pittman, Kirk, I cannot get on board with anything Patriots until I see otherwise. They didn't look very good in the preseason. I don't expect that things got put together very well in the past week or so. So I am definitely leaning on that way. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I'll agree with you guys there. I mean, if I'm going, if you got, let's just say hypothetically we put Ramondre in there and I'm picking between Pittman and Kirk, I'm going Pittman only because he far and away last year, he accounted for 30% of the receiving yards for Indianapolis all year last year, and that was with Gardner Minshew at the helm. We got Anthony Richardson, who is a much better quarterback, in my opinion, who will look at Michael Pittman as his number one target. So that should be interesting there. So, but yeah, I'm going Pittman and Kirk. Yeah, as a Patriots fan, it's sad to see, and I'll tell you, they got Jacoby Brissett throwing to God knows who. So Cincinnati's just going to be stacking it. They're expecting Stevenson all day long.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, I'm just as excited about the Broncos offense as I am the Patriots offense. I mean, I'm just not. They're both just desolate landscapes. I'm going to try to avoid every single piece of those that I possibly can. And you know it, as the number one fan, you know it pains me to say that. Like, it sucks. It's hard being a Broncos fan. It's hard being a fan of every team, though. You know, you always have these things. We got Shanahan confirmed yesterday that Ayuk will not get a full snap load this week. I'm going to start McLaurin instead of Ayuk in one league. Is that a good idea, Jeff?
Yes, that's it. Period. Yes, that is a good idea. Absolutely.
Yeah, what do you think, Joe?
Well, this was my question.
I
was selfishly tapping into your expertise, kind of talking it through. I didn't expect that with Ayuk. I assumed it's not like he's on a new team or anything like that. So yeah, I assumed he was going to play a full workload. So that kind of caught me a little bit by surprise. But, you know, I wanted to kind of sneak McLaurin in somewhere if possible because I am intrigued by that matchup. So I figured having Ayuk in a couple leagues, it was kind of an easy one to try McLaurin on one of the two. Before I
get your take on that one, Mikey, do you, and I'm curious if you guys agree, do you think that the 49ers are just flat out annoyed with this guy, that he almost kind of bullied them into a contract? I mean, do you think that's maybe even a little bit of a possibility, or am I off on that?
Well, why give it to him, though? And they gave it to him in the end. But I don't know why he's not playing. Yeah, maybe you're saying, like, is it disciplinary that he's not playing?
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably not the case. I bet it's just an experience take or anything like that. You know, Shanahan's kind of one of those sticklers. If you watched how his dad coached, he's a lot like him. He does a lot of the same things there where I don't know if it's like personal, but it is, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, no, of course not. We just want to make sure that your head's in the same place. Behind closed doors, maybe you're getting conversations like that. But I don't think that's because I think that things like that, like your contract and things, I don't think that those hit the field as hard as a lot of people think that they do. Now, I think when you're talking about not getting paid on a contract, it absolutely does. Like Jamar Chase playing today, he's a full slate, full go. I'm avoiding that. Oh, not a full go. I'm sorry. He's on a snap count. But so I'm totally avoiding that because I feel like in that headspace, you're probably not going to be A-okay or anything like that. But I think Ayuk, I think he'll be fine with this kind of thing. I think the limited workload, he's okay, but I'm still leaning McLaurin here as well. So we got Jaylen Warren or Blake Corum. Joe, lead us off.
You know, that's a good one to check. Jaylen Warren's, and he was questionable heading into this game, right?
Jaylen Warren was, yes. I'm not even sure if I thought he was going to be missing the first couple of weeks, so I'm a little behind on that one. I'll look at that one up right now. You guys talk about it if you'd like.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at too, because I thought I was kind of under the same impression. Do we know for sure? Tom Brokaw, is Jaylen Warren playing today? Why are you not in your cage? Let's see here. Jaylen Warren.
Make sure you feed your Brokaw. God dang it. He is. He's active. Jaylen Warren is in today.
All right. Oh, no designation at all.
Yep.
I mean, Blake Corum, I don't know. Justin Fields now is starting at quarterback. I think I'm going to stick with Jaylen Warren on that one.
What do you say, Jeff?
I agree slightly. I think Blake Corum is going to be more relevant than probably people think in this offense. We've seen Kyren Williams, and now this is down the road, not necessarily for today, but we've seen Kyren Williams have injury issues in the past, and I think that might come up again this season. But as far as this week is concerned, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Jaylen Warren because of his past productivity, and we see him getting a lot of passes out of the backfield as well as touches. Corum doesn't necessarily maybe get the amount that Jaylen Warren, even though they're both behind somebody, you know, as Harris and Williams, so slightly Warren, I'd say.
There's certain circles where I have a lot of college discussions and things like that, and people will tell you that there's probably been nobody higher on Blake Corum than me in this entire, I mean, I'm saying like 4 years ago, I was on this guy because I liked his talent, saw what he had to offer, and I knew he was going to be an NFL stud. But I'm with you. I think that today probably will be more the Kyren Williams show. But that's a very Rams thing to do, right? Is just change your running back midway through the season. Definitely a guy you want to have on your roster. But I think this week I'm also leaning Jaylen Warren, although I don't like him as much with Justin Fields out there as I would with Russell Wilson, because he's more of a dump off quarterback, where Justin Fields, most of the time, if he's going to dump it off, he'll also take advantage of it with his legs too. So I kind of like the disadvantage there, but I just don't think Blake Corum's going to see a whole lot of touches today.
I agree. Real quick on these backup running backs, though, because I see what I understand the question with Corum there. And, Justice Hill was a great example the other night. Obviously, Henry got most of the carries, but Justice Hill played a really relevant role in the pass game. What I would say right off the bat with these backup running backs, when you're looking at the prop bets, man, like their yardage, is usually real low. So if you're high, and I get it, like the weeks where the Rams are like home against Arizona, I could see Corum having a great game because they will be protective of Williams. And if they're blowing somebody out, Corum's going to play the whole second half. But I like those backup running backs for their receiving props. Most of those guys are coming in on those passing situations and third downs, and they're crushing their receiving props.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. Yeah, nope. It's like I said, it's gonna be fun today. We're gonna see a lot of things start to develop again. We're gonna overreact to all kinds of stuff over the week and things like that happening. I mean, we're gonna see a lot of different things. But what you got, Jeff?
Just another quick point on both those guys. Both are actually probably a pretty good option. If anybody's doing DFS today, at least on FanDuel, you got Jaylen Warren at 5,700, Blake Corum at 5,400. So again, if you need that higher end salary guy like an Amon-Ra or a Tyreek Hill or whoever, then you have that option to kind of slip in there as kind of like a sneaky low salary play. So I like both or either one of those guys as far as DFS is concerned.
Excellent. Yep. Nope. I agree with that as well. I mean, it's like there's going to be a lot of opportunities out there today that they're going to be exploiting. I think we're right on it right there. We got this handsome young man. Oh no, it's just that beautiful lady there. She says, Austin Eckler or Jackson Smith and Jigba flex spot. What do you think there, Joe?
Oh man, see, I don't want to give a hard-working mom bad advice here, so I'm a little nervous on this one. This is a really good question. So I guess Lockett's playing. He's a little banged up, home against Denver. I really am intrigued by Smith and Jigba this year. Eckler, man, this is really hard. Week one here, God damn, I'm going to go Eckler. I'm going to go the tie goes to the running back. Tampa Bay is going to score points. Washington's going to have to throw. Eckler is going to be in on more of the passing situations. So it wouldn't shock me if his rushing numbers are low, but maybe he catches 5 or 6 balls for 60 yards and gets in the end zone with one of those.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that. I would say just from an opportunity standpoint, I get it that Brian Robinson Jr. is there, but Eckler's still going to have, or seemingly still will have, more opportunity than Jackson Smith and Jigba. Seattle's got a good running game. I'm not too sure what to expect out of Geno, but he has Metcalf, so just simply based on opportunity. So, and since Mike's ducked out for a sec, I got a quick one that came up last night, Joe, for you just to throw out there. So the question was posed: either Kyler Murray, I think they're on the road at Buffalo, or Caleb Williams there at home versus Tennessee. That was a really tough one for me. And what I had said at the time is I don't know what to expect out of Caleb Williams. This is his first NFL game. He does have a lot of weapons. What Murray just kind of has that X factor. I get it. He doesn't necessarily have the lineup that Caleb Williams does, but he might throw for under 200 yards. But Murray has that ability to kind of get down the field or break off a run or have total over 100 yards and a touchdown just on the ground. So I would say my advice was leaning more Murray than Williams. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I've had to temper my excitement for Williams and the Bears because he is a rookie, and I'm excited for him. And I had him in my main DFS slate earlier in the week, but then I changed him out for Baker Mayfield as we talked last night. I think I would go Kyler Murray here too. Kind of give it a week with Caleb is part of it, but I agree with you. Murray's going to run for some yardage. You would assume Buffalo scores some points, so Arizona's going to have to throw. He's got Marvin Harrison Jr. right off the bat. I would go Kyler Murray, better chance to get you 20. Real quick, more breaking NFL news, not necessarily fantasy related. This is an awful decision, which I believe makes at least 2 years in a row, if not 3. They just announced Kendrick Lamar as the Super Bowl halftime music for this year, which I mean, I'm sorry. I
guess I've never been a Kendrick Lamar guy. I liked it with Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg made sense. Kendrick Lamar joining that lineup did not make sense to me. And again, I mean, to each their own or whatever. I'm not saying anything anti that guy. What did you guys land on there? Austin Eckler or Jackson Smith? Eckler for both of you guys.
Yeah,
I was kind of leaning Eckler too. But man, I really like Jackson Smith too. But yeah, especially with Lockett out.
No, Lockett's playing. Lockett is playing. That's what because if he wasn't playing,
gotcha.
If he wasn't playing, that would be it would be hard to lay off Smith and Jigba if Lockett was out.
Gotcha. No, I'm with
you
there.
Opinion.
Amari Cooper or Terry McLaurin? Jeff.
Well, I like throwing around some passing stats from last year, and I'll give you another one. So I mentioned DJ Moore. Nobody accounted for more receiving yards for their particular team than DJ Moore last year. Moore had 40% of the total receiving yards for that team. Who came in at 39%? Well, one was Tyreek Hill. The other guy was Amari Cooper. So Amari Cooper is obviously the number one target over in Cleveland. You got Ford as opposed to Nick Chubb. So if Chubb was there, they'd probably be running a little bit more than they do with Ford. So I'd say Cooper has a little bit more opportunity than McLaurin. That's my take.
This is a good one.
What do you think? What do you think there, Joe?
It should be, if you think about it, and especially, again, going back to the whole rookie quarterback thing, this should be Cooper just based on the quarterbacks. But it feels like there's more question around the Cleveland offense with Deshaun Watson coming back than there was with Joe Flacco and whoever was in between Watson and Flacco last year. It's a really odd thing. And, they're questioning Watson and Cooper's chemistry, which makes this one really tough. But in the end, Cleveland, Dallas, those are two quality teams. Dallas is going to score some points. Amari Cooper coming from Dallas probably has some lingering hard feelings there. We know how wide receivers like to treat their old teams in these types of games. I'm going to go Amari Cooper, but it's pretty close for me.
See, I'm leaning Terry McLaurin here too. The one guy I'm not excited about watching anything come out of this year is Deshaun Watson. He looked terrible last year. I think they're hanging on to a wing and a prayer. But I'll tell you what, I've got Donovan Peoples-Jones in a lot of my dynasty leagues right now, just kind of waiting for that opportunity to come out and be the guy over there, because I think he actually can be. Or Jameis Winston even, kind of depends on who wins that contest there. But I'd feel like, to me, you go with the former, not the latter. But yeah, no, I'm just not very excited about anything coming out of Cleveland except for the running game this year. And I hope Deshaun Watson proves me wrong. And not because, whatever. Let's stay away from that stuff. Just fantasy. He used to be a very fantasy relevant quarterback. He used to be very good, very effective on the field. He did not seem that last year. It'd be cool. It'd be kind of neat to see him get back to that kind of form again, though. But if you feel that way or however you feel about the guy, it's just I hope he does. Deontay Johnson or JSN? What do you think, Joe?
Oh, man, this is a tough one, too. But, I'm not saying Carolina's a sleeper team or anything like that. They'll probably suck again. I do think they'll be better than last year. And you cannot underestimate Deontay Johnson. And here's a funny comment and sad. He has had multiple quarterbacks worse than Bryce Young throwing to him over the last few years since Roethlisberger has left. And he still seems to put up respectable numbers no matter who's throwing to him. So with Thielen on the other side and him as the number one in Carolina now, I'm going to go Deontay Johnson this week.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I like Deontay Johnson. I've been pounding on that drum all off season. Give me the Panthers. I like their new setup. I like their new scenario. I think Bryce Young had a terrible start last year, and I don't think he was very set up. Give it to me. I think I'm leaving Deontay Johnson. What do you say, Jeff?
I tell you, man, Deontay Johnson in the past has let me down just as much as Tyler Boyd. And because Tyler Boyd sucks, stay away from him. He sucks. Deontay Johnson has gotten yardage and has let me down so much in the past because he just simply can't get in the end zone. It might be a different story in Carolina, but it remains to be seen. And because of that, I'm going Jackson Smith and Jigba. And as far as the other two, Sutton or Judy, Judy's an interesting one because we know he's talented and has the ability to be there, but he just hasn't produced. And Sutton, now that he's the clear-cut number one in Denver, and he produced a good amount last year. So now that he's the clear-cut number one with Bo Nix, I mean, remains to be seen his talent there, but I'm going Sutton over Judy as far as that one's concerned. But Deontay Johnson sucks. He sucks.
Oh, I disagree with that. I like Deontay Johnson a lot, but I mean, I get you. I feel your pain there as far as it goes. It's funny because I'm sitting here right now. I actually had to put Tyler Boyd in one of my lineups out of necessity already. That's how terrible my dynasty team is. But it's a Devy team, so I got like Arch Manning on the way. I got all kinds of great players on the way. They're just not here yet. So yeah, like while you're sitting there talking about how wonderful he is, I had to put him in my lineup. Sutton or Judy, what do you think there, Joe?
Yeah, I would go Sutton here.
You already said, didn't you?
No, I didn't even see that one, to be honest. I went Deontay Johnson, and my reading today is clearly off and rusty. No, I would go Sutton here. I'll be intrigued to see what Judy does opposite side Amari Cooper, but only to your point, Mike, if Deshaun Watson can improve on last year. If not, Judy's going to be irrelevant again, and Bo Nix is going to have to throw to somebody, and Sutton clearly is the best receiver and weapon in general on that Denver offense at this point.
Yep, nope, I agree. I think Sutton could have himself a pretty good day. I think Sutton might be a pretty solid play, especially I know we talked about that last night. Jeff has him in his DFS lineup, and I have no arguments with that. And nobody would be more excited than me to see Bo Nix go out there and shine out. But I'm going to be honestly shocked if it happens. So, and again, that's from the number one Broncos fan. Kincaid or McBride, the ride. Joe, lead us off here.
Man, this is good. This is 2 out of the top 5 tight ends pretty much that you have on your roster. If this is the decision you have, that being said,
based
you gotta
on
go
Thursday, these might even be 2 of the top 3.
You're right?
Because look how Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce produced for you. You know, like those guys are supposed to be top 5 as well. So these guys might even be top 3 at this point after last week. Just kidding, though. Don't overreact.
No, but it's a new guard at tight end for sure. I think you got to go Dalton Kincaid here because we talked about this ad nauseum last night. He's the number one option week 1 for Josh Allen in Buffalo. Just as a second-year player, he was great last year, and he's set up to have an even bigger year this year. McBride was insane with his target share last year for Arizona. I'm sure that's not going to change too much. However, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to get his share. They're at Buffalo today, which is I just think that's a tricky trip for a West Coast Arizona team to make. Same game for both these guys, too. I love Kincaid, and I can't wait to see what he does in the red zone this year.
Yeah, I dig it. Nope, I totally dig that answer. I'm with Kincaid as well. You know, I'm a Josh Allen guy. McBride is awesome, though, man, and he's going to be – but Marvin Harrison Jr. there, I think, is going to probably take a few options away. Not a ton, though. I mean, I think McBride is going to be a Kyler Murray grab, but I just don't like the matchup as well on the other side of the ball. I do. You know, like it's funny because – these guys are playing each other. I think the Bills, like I said, I think we're going to see that's who I'm picking to win the Super Bowl. So I think they're going to do it. I think they're going all the way. I think this is going to be their best season. And I know a lot of people are on the other side of that fence, but I think we're good to go.
I've never wanted a team that's not my favorite team to win a championship more than I'd like to see the Bills win one. Just for their fans alone in that city. That was a heartbreaker last year.
Oh, it was, man. No, it was devastating. It's like I said, I feel like you guys saw that meme I sent you yesterday, man. The beginning of that thing with Diggs getting tossed out still just cracks me up. I keep laughing about that because I feel like that's probably how it went down. but maybe not. You know, you never know. The NFL is a whole different animal. These guys are living their lives completely different than what we think they're doing. But I guess, guys, that's going to catch us up on questions there. Do we have anything to add before we go ahead and take off and go get our lineup set? And let's go get ready for week 1. Joe, Jeff, you got anything to add?
Just be a sponge. I feel like week 1 is about just taking it all in, seeing what these teams do, what they look like, and just be a sponge of statistics to help us for week 2. This is the most unpredictable week of the year, week 1. So good luck to everyone.
It's overreaction for a reason. We don't want to overreact. There's a lot of guys we drafted in certain places that aren't producing, that won't produce. That now, if you get injured, it's a whole different animal. But we'll be here to take care of you next week. Jeff, anything to add, my man?
Well, I'll tell you, it's certainly exciting. Week 1's always exciting, and be a sponge. I'll tell you that is our motto going through the rest of this. Be a sponge, kids. SpongeBob SquarePants, whatever you got to do, just be a sponge and get in touch with us. You can find us on social media, everywhere else, but be a sponge, kids.
Or be like me and be sponge bum pajama pants. And I'm telling you, life will be good after that. Just always make sure you're in those pajama pants, ready to get all Al Bundy style and watch